to wrap up the session, we just concluded Dracula Rich Edition, and I've really enjoyed this process. I love um, something that really stood out is we're really just like finding our groove. Natalia designing it, and Evelyn editing, and myself kind of like going through it, reading it. I find just reading timeless classics to be amazing. I just love and enjoy doing it. So I thought, why don't we open it up and share your favorite or a couple favorite classics that you have? Liz, go ahead.
I I don't read that many classics, but I think The Outsider still remains one of my favorites just because of nostalgia, and I think of Mice and Men as well for that same reason.
Yeah, we were looking at John Steinbeck today, public domain. East of Eden, not quite in public domain yet. We were like circling that as a rich edition, but yeah. Go ahead, Zaria.
I'm not really like a classics kind of girl. So I mean I do like The Lord of the Flies, but like I don't really read classics like that.
Robin?
I really like Pride and Prejudice. I've talked about this several times before. I love Pride and Prejudice. I also really like Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Um, and I don't know, is The Bluest Eye, is that a classic? It's by Toni Morrison? I love that book. It's very, very good. I read that my sophomore year of college and or freshman year of college, and it like stuck with me. So I've been trying to read more Toni Morrison. She's so good.
Nice. Madeline?
I have to say Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. That book, I read it,
Mm.
I think a fall or spring of this past year, and it was so good. It's always taught as like the new like way of novel writing for the time, and love Virginia Woolf. I will read like all of her stuff is so good, but Mrs. Dalloway specifically has like a special place because it really is different from the rest of his stuff. It kind of like marks the turning point of the era, especially in terms when it comes to novel writing. So that's definitely a standout.
Cool. Yeah, Mrs. Dalloway, we were looking at that. We've been circling that too as a rich edition classic. Good to know. Good to know. Marina?
This isn't like a classic for everyone, but I've had to read a bunch of Shakespeare. I mentioned this in my interview, but I love Twelfth Night. Like it's kind of dumb, but like it's really funny. And like sometimes it's harder for me to get into classics, but I just really enjoy that. And then I watched She's the Man after that because it's like it's great. And like this is not like a classic, I guess, but the guy that made Twilight Zone, Rod Serling, he's from where I'm from, like a city over. And they did a thing where they took one of his early scripts that didn't get like piloted to be into a show. And so we got to read the script and then actors like acted it out live. And it was really interesting to like, because you could envision it while they were reading it without seeing the show. And so, like, that's not like a classic, I guess, but I think it's interesting how, like, somebody's style, like, you could reference a Twilight Zone and you would know what it is from somebody's style of writing and just hearing those words, like, you see it. So that's just my little anecdote, I guess. But
Nagemi?
Mine is Pride and Prejudice too. I mean, that's one of the classics. Like, I read all of like Jane Austen's books. I took a class called Jane Austen that way I could get all the books for free, and I read Pride and Prejudice, and it was like I felt so embarrassed because it's my favorite book and it was so popular, and I was like, but it was so good. It was like so enjoyable to read. And then Emma, like I love Emma. Emma is also like such a brilliant book. And then I guess another one that's not Jane Austen would be The Idiot by Dostoevsky. Like I went through a bunch of emotions reading that book. I hated it, then I loved it, and I hated it again. But the ending, I've never read an ending as brilliant as the one that I read. Like that book is like brilliant. Like he's like the master psychologist writer. So you guys should read that.
Dostoevsky, who was I? I was having a conversation with somebody, and Dostoevsky has like the most unanimous approval among like writers, it seems like. Like it's hard to find criticism of Dostoevsky on the internet. I haven't done a rabbit hole search, but from what comes up, it's like he's like universally considered uh phenomenal and so influential. And just his story, being in, the was it the gulags for 4 years and just wild. Interesting. I would say mine would be, I think, The Great Gatsby and The Picture of Dorian Gray. Those two are the most influential in high school, I would say. But I love something I find in the classics is just like timeless universal wisdom. It's just it can be said today and still hold up 200 years because humans are reading it and experiencing similar emotions, situations, and it's just like it's really cool to see and have them hold up. Um, every book has been so interesting. It's been a pleasure to um, read them, go through them, and it'll be interesting, like what are considered classics of today in the future, you know?
I
Uh,
think we probably know a kind of a couple that might be.
but we also know too that sometimes it takes a while for something to get popular. Something could be totally undiscovered, and then, like in our situation, maybe a book that came out 10 years ago and didn't even sell, all of a sudden the internet just blows it up. And it's like it could be really interesting and
I
could come
mean,
from
maybe
anywhere.
Homeless but Human could be a classic, in 10 years.
There we go.
Who's to
It's been
say?
8 since it came out, so we're getting closer. Cool. Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate you guys sharing.